Oh my goodness, we are back. This is Lizzy Jane. You're tuning into another episode of the XO podcast, and we have such a huge guest coming on today to wrap up our second live series from Lost Lands Music Festival. We have the one and only FuntCase joining us. He has been in the scene since the mid 2000s. He is from UK, has really just collectively driven this movement behind dubstep, period, from day one. And he started producing drum and bass in 2007. Shortly after, got into dubstep, released his first release that was more dub driven in 2010, and ever since then he has made his way into the States, pioneered his own label and clothing brand underneath the Circus umbrella called DPMO, and he is just known as the dubstep dad to so many. I've had Sweet Tooth on the podcast, I've had Verse on the podcast, I have had Level on the podcast, and now we finally get the man who has given all of these up-and-coming producers really their first break and their first place to showcase their music. I am just so excited that I finally got to speak to James. He's such a wonderful, wholesome individual, and he really just wants to give good, heavy, banging music a home for everyone to hear. Do not forget, we've got some really funny bloopers from this episode that were actually recorded only on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. You have the ability to become a podcast producer, lessons, sample packs, vocal packs, and more. But without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into the XO podcast. James.
Hello.
Hello.
So you called me by my first name.
I did.
Very formal.
Is that okay?
You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's your thing.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for coming on today.
No problem.
I don't think I have to say who's on with me. We have the wonderful, lovely Scream, a.k.a. FuntCase.
Hello.
Who's finally made it into the borders of the States.
Yes.
After long overdue.
Yeah.
COVID fight uphill.
It took a lot of effort to get here.
Absolutely.
Because we have this amber country shit going on.
I can't even imagine. And then now, in addition to the visas, you have like the NIEs or whatever the hell they are.
Yes, the exemption letters yet to get in, so we don't have to quarantine. Yep. Beforehand, we were thinking of ways of doing it, but NIE exists and it lasts for a year, so we're good.
Which I've just heard from even Odd Prophet this weekend, not making it through, and he's got his visa, but the NIE was like delayed, and I just can't even imagine the shit show that you all are going through, but you made it over, and you've been playing shows.
I have.
And they've been fucking wild.
Yeah.
Has it felt good to be back?
It feels amazing. This is what I do.
Yes.
Entertaining is what I do.
Yes.
So it feels great.
Oh, absolutely. I was seeing you last night when we were on the Disciple stage, and I saw Versa, and I saw Leveled, and then I just called Devin, and I said, it's time to talk to the Father.
Yep.
It's time to talk to Dad.
Happy is here.
Absolutely.
Happy to know.
Oh my God. So was your first show back in the States, or did you play any in the UK?
No, we don't. You think we have dubstep shows in the UK?
I mean, I think you have dubstep shows.
We have dubstep shows in the UK, but I don't play them.
Okay.
Let's put them that way. Most of them in London, it's mostly openers at the moment. If there's anything going on, I think like more of the old school guys are setting up their own nights, like Hatcher and N-Type and stuff. Apart from that,
nice.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Dr. Flea played in my fucking hometown while I was here.
Oh.
Do you know how many dubstep shows we've had in my hometown in the last 10 years?
Probably not a lot.
One. Yeah.
So where exactly are you from?
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
Anyone who knows soccer knows Bournemouth used to be a team that was in the Premier League.
Okay.
So that's the only reason we'd be known. Otherwise, it's a nice beach town.
Oh, nice. Okay. You got the beach. You got just kind of relaxing vibes with the studio, the house.
Born and raised.
And then do you have to take, like, in order to travel here, are you taking, like, a train? Are you taking...
I have to take what we call a coach, which is also a bus if you're American.
Yes.
Which goes from door to door to the airport.
Okay.
So I have to do around 2 hours travel to the airport every time, and then the crap with the airport and fly here.
It's a long ordeal.
It's a long ordeal, yeah.
But you're here, and
I hope everyone makes it worth it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And how long are you here for?
3 weeks. I'm into my second week.
Awesome. And then you have shows, I assume, this week coming up?
Yes. Well, yeah, I have, yeah.
And then did Dr. P, is he able to get over here now?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Well, we played together.
Oh, okay. But he's already back in your hometown playing shows.
Yeah, he was in the UK playing in my hometown, but I think he's coming over next week to play back-to-back with me.
Awesome.
That's right, isn't it? Sad? Yeah, my manager on the off-screen, by the way. Yeah.
There we go. Sad has all the answers.
Yep.
You and Dr. P just released a very long-awaited dubplate.
Yeah, a little bit.
10 years. a nice little decade.
10, okay, so it's probably 11 years since we made the track, and it's 10 years since people heard it.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah, it's been around longer than a decade.
That's amazing.
Kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Arcade Fire, out now.
But don't blame me. Blame Dr. P.
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't let me finish it.
Okay.
Dr. P's got this thing in his head where if he doesn't like something, he really doesn't like it. So, like, if he had this doubt in his head that he think the track wasn't good, even though it was blowing up on YouTube, he's like, nah, I don't want to finish it. Every year for the last 10 years, I've been like, just give me the project file. I'll finish it. You don't have to do anything. We'll just put your name on it. And he's like, nah. And then literally spent 2 weeks with him in an Airbnb or whatever, on tour with him. And just, it took 3 days and he went home, found his old PC, had to buy a brand new power thing for inside of his PC because that had died. His hard drive wasn't working, so he had to recover it to get it to work. So he had to do this whole process. And then all the VSTs weren't working inside of the thing, so he had to do this
because it's a decade old.
Exactly. So yeah, it took a whole process, but we got there. So.
And then do you both work in Reason? Do you both work in Cubase?
No, Cubase. Yeah, we're Cubase.
Yeah, Cubase? Okay. Yeah. It's so crazy speaking to the old school producers, and so many of them are still in Cubase, still in Reason.
Yeah, everyone Circus is Cubase. Cookie was Reason, but me, Flux, and Dr. P have all been Cubase since the beginning. And Trolley Snatcher too.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention him is because we've all been kind of friends for ages, and like Dr. P and Flux and Trolley Snatcher grew up in the same town together as best friends.
Okay.
So that's why we all use the same thing. So yeah.
That's amazing.
I started on Reason, so like 50 Caliber and everything was all on Reason.
I started in Reason because it was like this visual representation of understanding how like patch waves work and how to route things properly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, there is a little bit of a force to switch to that Ableton DAW.
Yeah.
But I still definitely like Reason. And I had Pogman actually on my podcast a little bit ago.
Yeah.
And he just spoke around the time that you guys all really like came up, and you guys were all on these DAWs that just still exist today, and they're just almost like a foreign nature to somebody who's starting out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think all DAWs for someone starting out is foreign.
Oh well, absolutely.
It's like, wow, there's so many knobs.
Yeah,
what do I do
there's
with
so
all these
many
knobs?
things that you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys started in this time too, where like there weren't tutorials, and there weren't all of these things for me to say, okay, if I want to make a 2018 Virtual Riot sounding track, I'm just gonna go on YouTube and find out how to make everything correctly and just do it.
That didn't exist whatsoever.
We
completely self-taught. We just pretty much just went, oh, I've learned how to do this thing with a snare. And Sean will go, oh, what's that? And we'd just be telling each other these little things we've done. But now you can just go, oh, hi, Valentin, Virtual Riot. Oh, man, now made the best snare in history. Thanks to this 1 minute YouTube video.
Yeah,
I'm now a big
much.
artist. It's like, it's very, very quick.
It's so crazy. And like from your perspective, to see the evolution of this genre develop has just probably been wild.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's weird to think that I've been in the game that long. I'm on my next year will be my 13th year as FuntCase.
Oh my goodness.
So like, yeah, it's kind of strange. It makes me feel very old. But seeing this scene like grow and change in the way it has, it's been very cool and fun. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's also like thanks to people like you that have like taken that foot forward and pioneered certain things such as your label.
Yeah.
And you were like part of Circus before you started your own label.
Yes.
And now you have this whole array of artists that fit in this like niche pocket, and it's pushing the scene forward.
Yeah. For sure.
And at the time when everyone started Circus, were you guys just bouncing ideas back and forth off each other, like seeing what stuck?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything we did in Circus was just like, we made this tune. And they went, let's put it out. That was it. It was just, oh, I've done this. Okay, cool. Give it to us and we'll put it out. Go make more music. It wasn't like, I want to sound like this person and I want to do this and that. And this is the wave, so I want to sound like that. We literally made anything. And by the way, back in those days as well, because dubstep was so fresh, like anything you made was gold dust. Anything you made. If you listen to old clips of like 50 Caliber, there's holes. There's literally silent holes in it. Could you imagine having silent holes consistently through a track?
People would be like, what is going on?
They're like, what's going on? Is it stopping, starting? So like, yeah, you could do anything and it works back in them days. Obviously now it's a lot more formulated and there's a lot more sounds which do them better than others. But yeah, when dubstep was fresh, dude, you could have vomited on a microphone and then put a distorter on it and put some like half-assed drums on it, and everyone would have gone, "Wow, this is the biggest track I've ever heard."
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And for you to see it start really in your hometown and on your side of the world and come over to the States is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And like, what year did you see that progression and that huge jump to where you made the conclusion of, hey, if I'm doing bass music, I need to be prevalent in the United States playing bass music?
That didn't happen until later than Dr. P and Flux. They were playing before me. I think they played around late 2010 in America. Me and Cookie didn't come out till sort of mid to late September 2011 was the first show I played in the USA at Escape from Wonderland.
Yes.
So he threw me into the deep end.
Yeah.
Here's 10,000 people in a hangar.
Here you go.
After
Have
a guy
fun.
that was doing 200 people in a club for the last 2 years, you know, so it's kind of mind-blowing. But like, Dr. P and Flux have been out for a while, so they kind of had an earlier sense of it. I didn't really get a sense of how the American market was until I'd played that show, and I was like, okay, America's a thing. There you go. I should probably start catering for it, yeah.
And oh my gosh, I can't even start to conceptualize 2010 festival versus 2021 festival crowds.
Yeah.
And it's like, even yesterday, you look at the main crowd and they're moving as a unit, back and forth, headbanging back and forth, mosh pits everywhere. And you've just seen this like influx of this is it, and it's growing and it's growing and it's growing.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting because that's the future, and it's everything that you guys like have worked for, I guess, in some sense, but I couldn't imagine you all ever envisioning it being as big as it is.
No, and also it's funny because if you watch old videos of like festivals, you see people not headbanging. It's kind of strange. It's got to that point now where it's like, wow, they're just dancing.
They're going for it.
This is weird. They're not all wearing like death metal merch. They're wearing furry EDC clothing.
They're naked.
Yeah. That's not a thing much these. I mean, it still is obviously, but not as much as it used to be. Literally, the women were completely naked and the men were just wearing record label shirts. That's literally all it was.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about, I had Leon yesterday, Must I, and talking about the comparison from metal, hardcore, deathcore to, you know, dubstep.
Yeah.
And did you ever start in the root of rock music?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Band, fan?
Yeah, so I was in bands before FuntCase. I started playing drums at 14. I found a guitar on the street at 16 and started playing that one after fixing up.
Okay.
And then I was in bands from 16 up until pretty much FuntCase at that point. We nearly got big in a band. This massive headline band we supported in our hometown said we were so good they literally wanted to bring us on tour. And then my drummer left to be in an already famous band, and then we couldn't replace a drummer, and it kind of died out. And my dream was to be in a band and stuff like that. And then FuntCase happens. Like, all right, sweet, this will do. Fuck it, why not? I'll do dubstep.
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
That works. Well, it's so hard when you take 4 or 5 artists and you expect them to be on the same playing field at all times.
Yeah.
And everyone goes through life. They get married, they have children, they have X, Y, and Z. Their parents are telling them to do all this other stuff when you're, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
And with EDM, where I come from a band as well, it kind of rests on your shoulders at a certain point.
Yeah.
And it's dependent on you. Okay, like I can sail, I can fail. And into the point where I need a team to support me, which is also very fucking important, obviously.
Yep.
You have this creative control that you don't necessarily have if you're in a band, because it's like this puzzle piece, and if one piece of the puzzle is missing, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But you also, I work well as a single entity because I have such strong visions and like not opinions as such, because I'm very open to opinions, but it's like you do butt heads a lot when there's 5 of you. Like when you're doing like a collab, for instance, you probably know. Sometimes you're like, this is cool, and they're like, well, I don't know, and then you kind of have to like compromise and balance it out. But as 5 people, 2 people say no, 3 people say yes, shit starts getting a bit hot. Like it's not, no one's like, all right, cool, we'll do that, and then we do what you do next time. It's literally like, no, I don't want to do that, and then everyone gets a bit crazy.
And then how much time are you spending arguing back and forth, figuring out what to
do,
and all of the back end shit, and then so, I mean, what turned you on to dubstep from metal, from being in a band?
So I didn't like dubstep when I first made it.
I didn't either. I thought it was trash.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I was a drum and bass producer for the longest time. And so when I was in bands, I was messing around on Reason, just because my mum's then boyfriend was messing around on Reason making jungle and drum and bass.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I was like, oh, this looks fun, I'll do it. And I was also playing like Music and Music 2000 on the PlayStation, the old music creation games. And I used to play those without realizing how much I enjoyed it. I used to play them as a hobby, but in my mind, I was treating it as a game, not as something that could maybe turn into something.
Yes.
So my idiocy, obviously, didn't realize that. So I was making tracks literally all the time on Music and Music 2000. Then I messed on Reason. And while I was in a band, I was making like dark jungle drum and bass. And then it got to 2009, where I was kind of like 3 years deep into trying to make it into 3-4 years deep into trying to make it into drum and bass as DJ Dose. That was my old alias. And then a friend hit me up and was like, "Have you heard of dubstep?" And I was like, "What?" And then he sent me some tracks. I was like, "Yeah, these are cool, but like it's too slow." I was a 175 guy at the time. I even made tracks in 180. Like that's how quick that was.
Pumping.
But like, he asked me if I could make him some. He had a dubstep radio show which had like hardly any viewers at the time, but he was starting to grow a bit out of nowhere. And I think it's because of the rise of dubstep. And I made him some dub plates, literally just for fun, even though I didn't like the genre. And they popped the fuck off. And I was like, wait, these are doing well. So I made So Vexed and sent it out to a guy called Chrissy Chris, who, if people know old dubstep or don't, DMB would know him. He was playing a festival which is on prime time radio in the UK, on the biggest radio station, BBC Radio 1. And he introed with So Vexed, and he rewound it 4 times on the radio.
Oh my God.
And I was like, is this a thing? Like, am I doing success? Like, is this what happened? And then he played like Charlie Snatcher after that, and the whole set was popping off, but the crowd were going apeshit, like properly apeshit.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, okay, wait, is this a thing? Like, can I do something with this? So I just made more stuff. And then after So Vexed, I made 50 Caliber. And then it went from there.
It went on and on and on.
Yeah.
And then you met all the buddies, and that was it.
That was it.
My goodness. Yeah. It's really crazy to see the whole dubplate culture and start to understand the history of it, because here, yes, it's a thing. No, it's not a real thing like it used to be or like it is overseas.
Yeah.
And, you know, I speak to Devin and he says, I've just been trying to get my hands on this. I've been trying to get my hands on this. And, you know, that doesn't really happen amongst artists here, is where people just send out their IDs. They send out everybody to play everything. And there's something special with like holding on to a song.
Yeah.
And it builds this hype and this momentum and this like wanting for that.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that a lot of the circus guys and just people overseas still carry that like to this day.
Dubplate culture is kind of like dead at the moment in dubstep, and it has been for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because there's such short attention span when it comes to like music and dubstep, where people will listen to something for a week and it's gone.
Yeah.
So like in that sense, everyone wants it to blow up in someone's set for it to be a big thing. So if you look at like the Wonky song by Monks, that became iconic because Excision played it, but it wouldn't become iconic because it's on Spotify. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So that edge is what everyone is craving. So they go, oh, play my shit. And if everyone plays this one track, everyone eventually knows it and it becomes a big track, therefore generates the numbers on Spotify. That's the issue with the scene right now. I'm trying to do that same sort of thing, but with tracks like, if you don't do dub plates, why would someone come and see you beyond what they know you for? If you have one track, okay, let's say like we got fucking Versa off camera here.
Cinder block.
Yeah, the cinder block that fucking forklift himself.
Yeah.
So I had Welcome Tune for the longest time, and it was pretty much only me playing it, and it was because it was like the biggest track in my set for a long time that I held onto it, and it made people like foam at the mouth. They needed that track. They were so obsessed with it. In the end, you got like Subtronics begging me for it, and like everyone going like, dude, I really need this track in my set, and I was holding onto it. And by the time that I'd played it in my set, because people knew that they could only come to me to hear it.
Well, they come to you to hear it.
Exactly. I was the only guy that had
this
it.
Demand.
So that generates like almost like a tunnel vision thing for people to go, I really need to hear this live, but FuntCase only has it, so I'll go see FuntCase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's like a science to it. And then once that becomes big enough and well known enough, then you go, hey, Subtronics, take this dubplate. And then he plays the shit out of it, and everyone goes, holy shit, Subtronics is playing this track, and then suddenly everyone's playing this track, and then it becomes a big thing. And I did exactly the same thing with Impending Doom.
Yeah.
You know, I did the same thing. I blew it up. I played it at Los Angeles. People were like, what the hell is this track? Spent 6 months holding it down. Then I went, here you go, Excision. Here you go, guys. And I was distributing it, and it made it a big track. And that's how you play the dubplate culture well.
It doesn't exist anymore when you explain it like that.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Doesn't.
Yeah,
it takes people like you to control it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem, because everyone goes, I signed this track, please play it. I want everyone to play it right now. But everyone playing it doesn't create a want for it, because everyone has it.
It's the strategic, like, long-term plan.
Exactly, yeah. I'm literally giving away all my secrets right now. This is the terrible.
This is the tell-all on EXO Podcast. The tell-all of FuntCase's secrets. all there.
I'm screwed now. What have I got? What do I have now?
I don't know.
I'm screwed.
You still have DPMO?
I'm going to DMB. Fuck it.
Oh no! I honestly,
me and Roscoe are gone.
I could see that. That would be kind of fresh.
I mean, I've been doing DMB this whole time. I started in DMB. I still love DMB more than dubstep.
Well, it just comes from overseas. Like that is the only reason why it's here.
Yeah.
And from like your perspective, when it goes to DMB, I mean, it's like the age-old thing. We need more DMB here, and then nobody fucking wants it, and nobody fucking moves to it. Mm-hmm. But do you see it growing from your perspective at all in this country?
Last night was an eye-opener because I watched
Downlink,
Roscoe, and Diesel Boy play in a row on the DMB stage at Lost Lands. You throw this lineup at Lost Lands, maybe Roscoe because he's a name, but like you throw that lineup at Lost Lands like 4 years ago, that shit is empty. Like you have like a few groups of people like here and there scattered. Roscoe was rammed. It was rammed on that stage. Absolutely rammed. And not only that, backstage, and I was a bit drunk at this time, but backstage, you had Centronics, Boogie T, Mode Step, like literally everyone and all of their friends. The attire of the backstage was, you could not move.
Yeah.
Like I could literally physically not move. And we all had an amazing time going crazy to what Roscoe was playing. But it goes to show the growth. Like this whole like DMB 2021 thing, you can call it a gimmick, you can call it a joke, but there is now finally some growth. And I don't know if it's like the more dubsteppy sound style of the simple jump up that works, or if Wilkinson and Sub Focus could come to America and smash it because they make more musical styles.
Yeah.
You know, so...
They just did Brownies. Sub Focus was just at Brownies and Lemonade.
Oh, really? Yeah,
this past week, which is crazy.
Just before COVID, I know that Culture Shock, Dimension, and Sub Focus did a tour together. Or is it 1991? One of the two. But they all did a tour together, and I think it went kind of well. But I think that was just when everyone's thinking DMB was kind of okay, you know? I've spent so many years. I literally, from the moment I played Escape up until maybe 2 years ago, well, so I said 2 years ago, in my head, that's still like 2018. But like just before COVID, I was just pushing the shit out of drum and bass in my sets. But it became a section where people used it as a break to smoke, you know? Yeah. And it was like, oh, dude, like, please. But you get these cool people that loved it. I think now we're at the stage where I feel like less people now would just consider that a break.
Yes.
And more something to look forward to. So maybe there's a growth in there. I hope so.
And I see a ton of primarily 140, 150 artists starting to bring in that drum and bass towards the last 10 minutes of their set, which is huge, which is good for that progression. And it's cool to see someone from where it really kind of originated from see that growth over in the States. It's
good to see, but I wanted DMB to be known here for so long. But yeah, well, I guess we'll see. The next 2 years will be the telling motion. Will it be a fad?
Definitely.
Will it be the next Moomaton is what I'm thinking, you know? Will it be a year and a half of, whoa, this is insane, and then suddenly it's completely dead?
Dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've seen that happen with a lot of like niche subgenres as well.
Yeah.
We'll see. I guess time will tell. Yeah. I feel like what was really cool about COVID, besides the fact that it really wasn't cool, is that you did get a lot of artists breaking through, pushing boundaries, like doing stuff that wouldn't necessarily be festival ready, club ready music.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing that kind of music brought to these stages because they're doing the live streams. They're not getting paid for it. They're going to play whatever the fuck they want. And now that they're back here, they're finding that middle ground between the compromise and not letting that music go.
Yeah.
And, you know, playing a lot of people that are on DPMO. You have a lot of like these underground guys.
Yeah.
And when you decided to create the sub-label under Circus, how did you kind of start approaching finding your guys? Because I know that Devin, he told me the whole story about how he met you, he met Dr. P, super fucking dope, and then he sent you the song with him and Level, the Impending Doom, and then at that time you were like finding a reason to put together this compilation.
Yeah.
And so like how did you get from I'm gonna have a label to like, you know, where it fucking is now?
Okay.
It's a staple.
Yeah, okay. So the start of DPMO, I've wanted my own label, my own clothing label, all this sort of shit for the longest time. We started DPMO as a clothing label. In 2016, it was birthed. 2017 is when we released the first one. And then I've been talking to Circus for a long time about making a label because I was giving them tracks they should have signed. And by the way, one of them was Jotaro, and they said no. So just saying, I was right, you know, like that's kind of like that was like
wow,
the whole like,
that's
dude, like
crazy.
why don't you guys not listen to me? And like I was pushing Genetics like back in the day to Circus. That's why Genetics had a Circus release, like with Baseline Business and the Squid Attack remix and that sort of stuff. And I was trying to push these guys, and I kept pushing these guys to Circus, who ended up doing really well. There's so many names. I literally like have so many names that I gave to Circus that ended up doing really well that they could have signed that I gave to them. And obviously the biggest one was Jotaro. They didn't do it. So I was like, for the longest time, I was trying to sort out a label, and I was talking to Circus about it, and they said yes, and then they said no, and then they were kind of like, I don't know, will it rival us? You know, which is obvious. It's an obvious thing because it's a business, you know. So it's on them to say yes or no. But it was like the last. Well, I mean, when DPMO started, they kind of were like, I think you're ready, and it's because of the compilations. And the reason we did the compilations is because me as a big drum and bass fan, Andy C has a compilation called Nightlife. Mm-hmm. So, and because of that, I was like, do we have that in dubstep? We don't. So I was talking to my my manager, my other manager, Simon, who's an old school drum and bass guy, and we were talking about the Andy C Nightlife thinking like, we could just be the Andy C Nightlife of dubstep, having compilations. So I think as far as I know, not including like the Circus releases, like I think I was the first compilation. I don't know if that's right or not. As far as I know,
Circus doesn't do compilations.
Circus did Circus 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
But those were Circus artists, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
So these were compilations, and never say that I've done compilations, but I don't think it's been like an anyone goes kind of compilation thing.
Correct. No, it's just their artists.
Exactly. So I think DPMO is the first one to do that, and that's what we wanted to be the Andy C Nightlife of dubstep. But then as soon as we did,
from all over.
Exactly. Yeah. We literally go, if you have sick music, send me an email and let's put you on. That was all it was. And then after DPMO 2. I think Disciple started Roundtable compilations.
Yep.
And then someone else started compilations, and now Symphonics has a compilation.
Well, it's this breakthrough where you can get these new artists, test them out, see how people respond.
Dude, there's so many artists in dubstep. Like, it's literally ridiculous how many good artists there are. Like, it's just, it's a shit show right now because labels want to sign all these artists, but you can't because you'd have 9 million artists.
You don't have the means to.
Yeah, you have 9 million artists on every label, and no one's going to get focused. So everyone's kind of free floating right now, showing their stuff off. So yeah, but I feel like DPMO was the first compilation. I might be wrong. Someone might be going, "What the hell are you talking about? This label did it first or something." I don't know, but we wanted to be the first. At least.
I remember when the first one dropped, and it was all over. Yeah. It was like a big ordeal because there were so many songs that like you had been holding on to, as well as just songs that became like standard throwdowns in every set.
Yeah, Perish song by Fizo, for instance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so many artists in their, like, early years, now you look at them 5 years later, you know, and they're just, like, huge. And they're developing, and they're growing these fan bases. Yeah. And I even use Cinderblock over there as a good example. Versa as a good example where, you know, I did the podcast at Forbidden Kingdom, and he had the most interaction next to Virtual Ride and Barely Live. Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like you're creating this community in which the music is really speaking for these guys. Yeah. And they're not having to play a lot of this bullshit back end game that a lot of us have to do.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's So it's also like from your perspective where you've seen it go from a little bit more of predominantly music based to, you know, obviously you have a brand. Like, we don't have to talk about that. Like, that is definitely there, and the presentation is there. But more so than ever, there is a focus on social media and your relatability to everybody and X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And that becomes really distracting when you're trying to focus on your craft and create good art. Yeah.
You have to become, like, I talk about this, like, almost every year with Dr. P. And it's like, Dr. P, if you think about Dr. P, for instance, he's never had a brand, has he? He's been like the guy that makes those tracks.
Yeah.
But he's not like, you don't see him with specific clothing, or you don't see him doing like a certain theme, you know, like Void has the dark theme. Dr. P's just been Dr. P with music. And it's like, every year, it's like you have to be more and more of a whole complete package. You couldn't just be like, here's a release of a track, and everyone goes, holy shit, this is insane. And it's done the work. You have to be like, here's the release. Right, here's an Instagram story, Facebook post. You know, like, you have to do 800
Here's the visualizer,
things.
Here's the YouTube graphic.
Exactly,
let's do this. Here's the whole rollout plan.
Yeah, okay, so who are we going to get to do blog posts? Who are we going to get to do this? And it's like, you have to do a whole package for it to be noticed. And it's like, everything's so much more driven by how much you can brand yourself and how much you can get yourself in the limelight of social media, rather than the track doing the talking. Which is why I tried to change that through DPMO, through dubplate.
Which you definitely do, obviously. Yeah, instance, and it works, though, too. It's not like it doesn't work. It's not like you're fighting to, like, reinvent this wheel and it's not working. Yeah. It showed in literally numbers with Versa. Yeah. So it's...
But every compilation that we've done, we've had essentially an anthem. For Perish song number 1, everyone's still playing that now, 4 years later.
Oh, yeah.
The second one was Impending Doom, that was anthem. Third one was Welcome Tune, anthem. So, like, it's working. You get those tracks, you focus on them, and you market them in the right way. where social media does their own thing. It's the word of mouth thing, but with social media. So everyone's sharing that track themselves, going, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
So therefore, you don't have to do the work. Obviously, you have to do the work, but not as much as you have to in in these times. So if you're able to market these tracks in a certain way, where people forced to post it themselves, then it's doing its own. It's self-driving essentially.
It's doing its own work. It's doing its own
Tesla.
branding. I am Tesla. Do you guys have Teslas overseas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not many.
Not many.
We've got we just deviating from dubstep. We just started having smart motorways. So obviously highways here and called the motorways in England.
Okay.
Where they design the motorways in different ways so that the cars can self-drive themselves.
Wow.
So yeah, that's now a thing.
That's forward thinking.
Yeah, scary.
That's pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You just hear those. But it's like, oh God, this is so far from dubstep. But the future of like AI is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I also, in my mind, it's not that far from dubstep because what happens when there's an AI that goes, okay, I can write a dubstep song. I can
Been done.
do this. I can
Have you
do
seen
that.
it? It's been done.
I haven't fucking seen it.
Kill
but
the Noise did it.
Oh my God.
Kill the Noise programmed an AI
Jake
and he
did
put
it?
in like a bunch of Skrillex tracks and other stuff and it made a track. It was kind of terrible, but it's like the beginning of what you
But
can
imagine
teach
that
AI
in
to
10
do.
years.
Exactly,
It's terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely terrifying. And it's like, you'll never get that human emotion, but it's like, what we do is very technical. It is what it is.
If you think about like Gorillaz, for instance, like
Yeah.
Gorillaz made music, but they were cartoon faces. Like you knew who the singer was, but you don't know who the people behind Gorillaz were. And that edge, it was almost like it was computer generated music at the same time, you know. And that's like there's a mystique in that, but there's also a non-human element to that, which is a bit sucky. You know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't think AI would ever take over. It's not like
No, I
talk
agree.
about, dude, we talk
They're
about robots
taking over.
we talk about robots overpowering us. Like, what if they did it electronically? That would be insane.
It's incredible. I don't know.
This is turning real Joe Rogan.
This is
now.
real. Oh, it's turning real Joe
Now
Rogan.
we're really going
Oh,
for it.
I was drunk yesterday, and I was with Level. He's like, I just want to thank you for having me come on. He's like, you're like the Joe Rogan of EDM. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's gonna be my fucking Twitter handle.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it.
No, you're
But
your own entity.
there
That's
we
what
go.
sucks
There we go.
compared to you. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Joe Rogan came to Tampa, where I'm from, and he caught COVID, so that was nice.
That's what you get for having to. What is that crap? Lies. What is it? I don't know. That crap that the people that don't believe in vaccines think that they can.
Oh, like anti-vaxxers?
Isn't it like a lysive?
Oh, the fucking horse dewormer.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's a long tunnel. We're getting back to dubstep. We're getting back to dubstep
So,
right
Dr.
now.
P.
So, Dr. P. But it's super awesome that you guys just put out track. Very long awaited.
Yeah.
And do we have some more DPMO things coming up?
Yeah, so we have DPMO 4 is now
Okay.
being curated. That's not long in the finishing. I've got to finish a few bits, and I'm still waiting for a few finals. But yeah, it's at the end stages now. So DPMO 4 is coming soon, and then obviously more DPMO releases.
Absolutely. And
Some good artists.
it's cool because we're back, because predominantly I would like to say that subgenre that you're focused on, it's supposed to be played in clubs.
Yeah, for sure.
They're
Exactly, yeah.
festival bangers, club bangers, mosh fits done, and we're back, which
Exactly,
is
yeah.
really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And now you have this, I'm sure your sets are full of like this arsenal of IDs and
Yeah,
this
literally,
arsenal
yeah.
of things.
It is literally, yeah. Just an entire ID fest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, it's like you're just building and bringing all this new talent, and especially in my position and a lot of like your artists where we're up and comers, there are just so many of us now.
Yeah, for sure.
And from like your perspective, what do you look for music wise, I guess like development wise? Are you just somebody who like, if the tune's good, the tune's good?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
If the track's good, I don't care if you're brand new. I don't care if you have a management. There's like rumors going around that Never Say Die only sign people that have management. I don't know. I think it's
That's
complete
crazy.
bullshit,
I think that's
honestly.
bullshit.
I think it's complete
that's
bullshit. I think it's been brought up by sour kids who never got signed by Never Say Die. But,
Yeah.
But like,
There's a lot of sour kids out there.
yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
But when they even when I mentioned that, like, it doesn't matter what you do, like how many followers you have. You could literally have no followers. Like, if the track's good, then let me put it out. And that's the point of DPMO. Is
That's
finding
the I wish it was that way everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just finding good artists, and that's what DPMO is being built on. Like, you're finding all these brand new guys. I think Versa had like 34 followers on SoundCloud when I found him or something. So like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Just make good music. That's all I care about. And I don't have any like it must be headbanging, like sustained quarter note womps underneath. It's not. That's not the thing. That's just those tracks have been banging. It has to be cool tracks. There's a guy we released a single of called Disco, and he did a track called Space Booth. It's the weirdest thing you've ever heard. It's like Subtronic and Moody Good and Boogie T had a baby. And it's very fresh. And it's the same thing with like Versa. It's like if Marauder and like the rhythm scene had a baby.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting these different new edges of these sounds that you love, and it's bringing in this whole new sort of inspiration. So I just want to sign cool music that's cool to listen to. You know?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do.
I just had Jessica on before you.
Oh, God.
And she's wonderful, but she's talking about the same thing with her label, where it's like trying to have this old school versus new school hybrid pushing boundaries sound.
Yeah.
And, you know, she also started on Circus, which is super sick to see just like so many artists thriving from that family.
Yeah, for sure.
And no, it's cool because you're kind of fighting against the wave, but it's working.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like that's all that matters, and that'll inspire other people to do exactly what you're doing down the line.
Exactly.
Meant to ask this at the beginning, how the hell did you get your name?
Oh, because I didn't like dubstep, I wanted to make a joke name.
This is it?
Yeah.
This is
it was between this or...
Did you, like, write it down on a piece of paper? And
No,
like,
I was talking on AOL
together?
to my friend who I made the dubplates for. Yeah, I was talking on AIM to my friend who I made the dubplates for, and I was like, what do I do with my name, dude? Like, I don't want to attach DJ Dose to it, because I was trying to be a serious drum and bass producer. And he was like, I don't know, let's just make something up. So I was like, why don't I just do spoonerism names? So I did FuntCase, Billy Sarstard, so silly bastard, and Hick Dead, which is dickhead. But it was like, those are the three names, and I was like, I just use FuntCase. And then I remember literally dying laughing for 10 minutes straight, seeing FuntCase written on a flyer. Like, just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, because it's like, cunt face is written on a flyer.
When I first
And
saw
for anyone, by the way, who's just
literally-
realised this, cunt face is what the FuntCase is from.
Oh,
50% of people get it straight away, and some people don't get it until recently.
Yeah, no, I was
Switch the F and
that
C around.
blonde that didn't get it,
There you
and
go.
then I was like, holy shit, that fucking
Yeah, switch the F and the C. It's like that.
switch it up, it's right fucking there.
Yeah.
And then the mask.
Again, an accident. Didn't plan it at all. My first ever set that I played in my hometown to 6 people, 5 of them being my own friends,
Beautiful.
in a tiny room on the worst sound system you've ever heard, with 2 of the most broken CDJs you've ever seen. So the day before I played that set, I was in a festival, which is University Ball, I think they call it, wasn't it? And I was booked to do graffiti, because I'm a graffiti artist as well. I was booked to do graffiti at the time, but it was a dress-up festival, and I thought, fuck it, I'll dress up too. So I bought this like crappy suit, which the maskers came in, but it's an entire suit. Like, if you can imagine the mask, like how it used to look, that silver shiny thing.
Yeah.
I wore a whole suit of that spraying. But then I took the whole thing out of my bag before playing that set. I left the mask in there. My friend saw it as soon as I took the CDs. Sorry, I'm saying these CDs. As soon as I took the CD like bag out of the bag, he saw it and went, wear that. And he managed to convince me to wear it. And thanks, Blake. Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it.
But
wow.
you know, it's essentially free branding. You know, something to focus on.
Oh, absolutely. It's just like a happy accident.
And it's like FuntCase. Like, you can Google FuntCase and you won't get like a band or something else. You just, like, you know, if you were to type it in the internet, you find what you find.
Oh,
so I've got a unique name, which is great, honestly.
Oh, and especially now with there just being so many, I think that's really important to have a name that you can actually find.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's really hard and you can get things really misconstrued.
Yeah.
And all of the different spellings. Back to you being a graffiti artist, is that why all of your art is more graffiti?
The DPMO logo I designed myself with a Sharpie on an A4 piece of paper and scanned it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, graffiti, all the
Do you
graffiti
still do
stuff.
it? Do you still...
No. Oh, no, I quit. As soon as FuntCase started doing well, I quit. Like, I used to do all the illegal trains and shit like that. And
Wow.
like, yeah, it was pretty bad. Luckily, never got caught. Otherwise, I'd never would have got a visa to come to America.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing all that crazy graffiti stuff. I was really into it. The track Make Our Day, the old track, and MOD, which is the very first one, but ignore that track. It sucks. Make Our Day, the intro with us talking about spraying a shop, is me and my friend who invented the graffiti crew that I was in, which was called MOD, Make Our Day. So that track is based on my graffiti crew.
Wow.
So that's why there's like a can shake in there, which I recorded on this shitty ass mic. I literally sprayed the can in my own bedroom. Got my sheets a little bit like red, but
you know.
But
you
yeah,
gotta do what you
it's the
gotta do.
culture, man. It's the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's super sick. That's like connecting the dots between the artwork and all of like.
But I've definitely stopped doing that. I've definitely stopped doing it. The only thing I do now is I have an iPad and I do designs here and there.
Yeah, which is cool. The technology is like crazy for drawing boards and iPads and stuff that you can just like create there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And what I've noticed too is like a lot of people who just are creative in their own mindset, they create a lot of their own art.
Yeah.
And they do like a lot of their own shit, which is super dope.
Yeah. Like Dr. P did the artwork for Arcade Fire.
Really?
He made the arcade machine in Blender. And then
Blender is sick.
It's pretty good. I've never used it. I use Unreal Engine. And then if you look at so for anyone who's not seen the artwork or has seen the artwork even, if you look at the arcade machine itself, all the graffiti on it is me. I did it on my iPad. He sent me like the skins for what he did on Blender. And there's loads of Easter eggs in there. Like loads of shit to look out for on that.
Really?
So if you zoom into the artwork, you're like, oh look at that, oh look at that, oh look at that. So yeah, I've done loads and loads and loads of Easter eggs in there. So
that's fucking sick.
You can check it out. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Find the Easter eggs. James, thank you very much for coming on.
It's been emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been an emotional ride. I'm so glad I could finally get you on here.
Yeah.
You're back in the stage, you're playing shows. Yeah. We're back.
I've done enough raiding you on Twitch to earn myself.
Oh my God. I remember, my boyfriend is a little bit out of this kind of industry, but he knows who you are.
Right.
And he goes, yo, FuntCase just raided your stream. Do you know him? And I'm like, we've talked briefly.
Yeah.
And then I was just like this Twitch streamer trying to stream a fucking podcast in the middle of COVID to 6 people. And you would raid my streams.
Yeah, I raided.
And then I would have 200. And it would be amazing. And then there's some people who came on my Twitch channel from there who have like come to shows and who have like.
That's how it works.
That's how I met Jacqueline Hyde. And now we're like fucking chilling. They're here this weekend. And I got to finally meet them. But no, I really appreciate you.
That's how it works.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for paving the way for people like me and Forklift over there. It'll be really good. So thank you for coming on the XO podcast.
No worries.
Live from Lost Lands. He'll be running around, fucking shit up.
Not playing anything. Don't expect anything.
No one's expecting anything.
No USBs.
No
I'm
USBs.
there to just be an idiot.
Enjoy. Absolutely. See ya.
Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the podcast. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. You get these episodes ad-free with bloopers, all this other shit on my Patreon as well, with the lessons, XO Radio guest mix, and more. I would love to see you over there as part of our Patreon family at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. It is also linked in the bio for all of these. If you guys like these episodes and want me to do more of them, make sure you are following me on Spotify. Make sure you are subscribing to the YouTube channel. And that is really all I could ask for and more. I appreciate all the listeners coming back. I love how you guys fuck with the in-person podcast. This is definitely the future of my podcast. So thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you fuckers next time.